He's out of jail, Jeff, but he wasn't around to answer our questions on camera this afternoon. It took longer than expected, but the Space Shuttle Endeavour is at its permanent resting place. Just 2 days until ballots are due, and the top 3 contenders in the race for Portland mayor in campaign overdrive this afternoon. Threatening letters are starting to show up again, the latest in Minnehaha over the weekend. And then there's this, the little fruit with the big political message. Police say they still don't know who's throwing tomatoes at Obama supporters. They have been standing in the exact same spot. I'll say maybe they've moved about a foot in the last 3 hours toward the protesters. Tonight, that would-be robber in jail, the convenience store owner calling the Good Samaritans his superheroes. Hundreds of passengers spent the day here at PDX waiting. A Sprint fiber optic line was damaged this morning. That caused a major computer glitch. This morning, nobody could check in. It's the murder case and manhunt that have kept the city talking all week. And today, the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office announced the capture of Eric Miser. Everything going on. Now, we know this envelope was found around 4:30. Hazmat team came, but just a few minutes ago, you gave the all clear. What happened? New at 11, a Northwest hero earns one of the nation's highest military honors for saving the lives of his fellow soldiers in Afghanistan. This is the Gresham Gator. Although he looked a lot bigger than this on TV, he's actually only about 4.5 feet long. Crews are staying here, stocking up, waiting for this storm to pass, and many still shaken up after finding out 4 of their own are presumably dead. And I'm Kacey Montoya. Now, the snow, it's hit or miss right now. We want to thank you for all of your pictures and help covering this tonight. Internal documents are raising the stakes and raising questions about a former deputy's conduct while still on the force. That deputy also happens to be running for sheriff. Well, Jeff, it only took one tree to knock out power to 3,600 people. It's kind of dark, but you can see this is the tree that knocked that line down. The line's still on the ground. And about 5 minutes ago, crews moved from this location down the street. Now, according to PGE's website, they said this power would be back on by 4:45. That time has come and gone. And if you look on their website, it says 32 people have called them about this outage. Neighbors say without TV and internet, they have no other way to know when the lights are coming back on.
Finally ask hey, can I get out of here?
Pat Gantz has been waiting for the power to come back on for 24 hours.
Probably since 4 or 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon.
She was one of 3,600 in Oregon City still without power Tuesday afternoon. No TV, internet, or cell phone, but she's found ways to pass the time.
I've been reading. I have a little flashlight that I read. That's the only thing there is to do.
Across the street, Keith Larkin and his wife have been doing the same. They've been burning a fire to keep warm.
It's keeping it really warm, and it's 70 degrees.
Larkin says he charged his phone before the power went out, and he does have all the fixins for Thanksgiving in his fridge, but he's not worried about the food spoiling yet.
I had a turkey in there, but it's supposed to thaw out anyway, so, so I think we're okay there.
Farther east in Clackamas County, many are dealing with other post-storm issues. This home in Estacada is still reeling from the damage after a 60-foot fir tree snapped in half, broke onto their house, also damaging their car. It shattered windows and cracked the roof, sending other chunks of debris flying across the property. The Clackamas River in Estacada briefly hit flood stage, which is 20 feet, but began to recede within an hour. The flood warning canceled. In rural Washington County, it's been the waiting game. This is video from flooding in Gaston along Old Highway 47. Several homes there are still full of water. And you can see here in Oregon City, this neighborhood's still in the dark tonight, but there are crews still out here. I've seen at least a dozen PGE workers. We've seen trucks coming and going for the last few hours. It's not raining now, so it's going to give them a chance to get more work done in a short amount of time. But again, they said on their website it would be back on at 4:45. Neighbors have been coming up in the last few minutes asking us, do you know when our power is going to be back on? Crews tell us they are working as fast as they can.
I was driving north on McLaughlin and I saw one of the pillars and it said, have fun. And I just went, ugh!
Seeing graffiti makes Terry Papino furious.
It's so aggravating to see someone vandalize our beauty.
Papino works as a crime prevention coordinator for the city of Portland. When she saw this graffiti on her way to work Tuesday morning, she pulled over to take pictures. This is the MLK Viaduct. It's what connects 99E from Milwaukee into Southeast Portland. The project cost more than $70 million, and already you can see fresh graffiti. This construction zone in Southeast Portland has been tagged. Take a look at the detailed graffiti on that train and on the concrete wall. And about 100 yards away, this building in Southeast Portland covered in graffiti. It's about 6 feet tall. According to the city's graffiti abatement department, the city spends about $3 million a year cleaning up graffiti. Local businesses spend another $2 million every year cleaning up after vandals, making this a $5 million problem. City officials say they can't leave it up. It attracts other vandalism and crime. So is there any way to prevent it? Papino says document it and report it as soon as you see it.
We have 2 officers at Central Precinct who work exclusively on graffiti.
And parents, keep a watchful eye on your kids.
A lot of times taggers will practice. They'll practice in notebooks, they'll practice in their rooms, they'll practice elsewhere, and it's not just an innocent art exploration. These are people who are practicing to put it out into the community and to vandalize other people's property.
Kacey Montoya joins us now. Kacey?
Well, Jeff and Kelly, until now, this case has made headlines for its politics. Tonight, though, internal documents are raising the stakes and raising questions about a former deputy's conduct while still on the force. That deputy also happens to be running for sheriff.
The election's not over.
57-year-old Dave Fuller is running for Columbia County Sheriff. With the election a week away, you'd expect him to be out on the campaign trail, but he's been pretty low-key amid allegations he tried to cover up a drunk driving crash earlier this year.
I'll be the first one to say I made a mistake. I'll be the first one. I'm not going to hide behind a rock or anything like that. I made a mistake, and I can't change the past. I just got to see what's going to happen in the future, and there's another week to go, and we'll find out.
These documents just released to KOIN Local 6 paint a clear picture of what investigators say happened on March 31st. That's when Fuller and about 40 other people went to Lucky Eagle Casino for a fire department fundraiser. According to several witnesses, Fuller was intoxicated on the bus ride home. His friend, a Columbia County 911 dispatch operator, was on the phone trying to find him a ride home so he wouldn't drive. Another witness said Fuller was trying to talk on his cell phone and he was holding it upside down. Others told investigators Fuller said he was going to sleep in his car. But Fuller did attempt to drive home, crashing near milepost 44 along Highway 30 between Rainier and St. Helens.
Everyone is required to report a crash if it's over $1,500 in damage. So certainly every citizen is expected to do that.
But there's no 911 record of the crash because Fuller didn't report it. Instead of calling police, he called a tow truck.
It's a mistake I made, and I can't say any more in regards to that. I mean,
Fuller says there was no cover-up because, as he told the St. Helens Chronicle, it only cost $900 to repair the car. Still, in the documents released to KOIN, the tow truck driver estimated the damage at a couple $1,000s, and a state police investigation concluded he failed to report the crash as legally required. In May, Fuller was placed on administrative leave pending the outcome of the investigation and was cited for failing to report the crash.
I'm at the will of the people right now. If they decide to take Dickerson another 4 years, then more power to them.
Dickerson referring to his opponent, Sheriff Jeff Dickerson. Fuller claims that this is all politically motivated, but Dickerson points out that he did turn this case over to the Oregon State Police for an unbiased review. Fuller retired in the middle of this investigation, which concluded that he did give misleading information. Now the voters will weigh in on November 6th. Problems mounting for one of the world's biggest brokers. At least 3 executives at JP Chase are reportedly on their way out. It took longer than expected, but the space shuttle Endeavour is at its permanent resting place. After a 12-mile journey through the streets of Los Angeles, where thousands watched and snapped photos, the shuttle arrived at the California Space Center Sunday morning. Organizers had planned a slow trip, saying that the spacecraft that once orbited at more than 17,000 miles an hour would move at just 2 miles per hour in its final voyage. You know, we kept seeing those updates last night. It's late, it's late, it's late. And then it was, I don't know how many hours late. Better late than never.
Yeah.
Don't look now, but Oregon's next major business hub could be in Central Oregon. Apple paid more than $5 million for 160 acres of land in Prineville. It's not far from the data center recently built by Facebook. This deal means hundreds of construction jobs for the county and more people hired to staff the data center when it's finished. Another data center called Jasper is also in the works. Police have identified a 10-year-old autistic boy found alone on a MAX train in northeast Portland on Friday evening, and they're still looking for his family. New at 6, state police arrest a man in the Dalles, too drunk to drive, so his 10-year-old son was at the wheel. Officers say they noticed a car swerving with its hazard lights on. Police say Jose Torres was steering the car from the passenger seat while his son was controlling the pedals. After finding an open container of alcohol, Torres was arrested and charged with DUI, reckless driving, recklessly endangering another person, and not having a valid driver's license. The boy is home with his mother tonight. The 5 men who allegedly planned the September 11th terror attacks refused to answer judges' questions and did not enter pleas during their arraignment Saturday. They're charged with the murder of each person who died in the 9/11 attacks. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the man who claims to have orchestrated the attacks, did all he could to disrupt court. He and his 4 co-conspirators refused to answer the judge's questions, read magazines, prayed, and would not listen to Arabic translations. Their lawyer says their silence is their way to fight back.
The accused refused to acknowledge the legitimacy of the military commissions as demonstrated through their silence. These men have endured years of inhumane treatment and torture.
None of the defendants entered a plea at the hearing. Each faces the death penalty if found guilty. Now, this trial, it's expected to take years to complete. New at 6, for the first time in about 20 years, France will be run by a socialist government. Francois Hollande has defeated current President Nicolas Sarkozy in today's runoff election. In his victory speech, he promised to be a president for all of France, becoming the nation's first left-wing president since 1995. Sarkozy has led France since 2007. Well, thousands of people taking advantage of this weekend's improving weather to head to the Cinco de Mayo festival at Waterfront Park, and so many were there, a Guinness World Record may have been broken. More than 1,000 people put on sombreros during yesterday's activities, and that easily beats the record for the number of people wearing sombreros at the same time. The old record to beat was 500. It's been nearly 2 years since Kyron Horman disappeared, but his father says he's not giving up hope. Kane Horman was at Portland's largest garage sale today at the Expo Center, passing out flyers and buttons with Kyron's picture on them. Horman says he's still optimistic Kyron is out there.
Until they give us a reason not to be, and I'm not expecting that. I'm expecting that he's out there, that he's watching, and hopefully he has the opportunity to see that we're still out doing everything that we're doing for him. And I hope it gives him a little bit of hope that we're not giving up.
Horman says there are still a lot of people working on the case, and he wants everyone to continue to look for his son. The man who killed Trayvon Martin still in jail tonight, and his attorney says it will be a few more days before he gets released. Bond for George Zimmerman is set at $150,000. His attorney admits it's been a tough process coming up with the bail money. Meantime, tensions are still high in Florida. Terry Jones, he's a pastor who gained notoriety for burning a Quran. He led a small group of demonstrators supporting Zimmerman. In the end, no matter whose side people are on, those living in Sanford, Florida, say they just want this to end.